everybody, Ultimate Reviews here and welcome back for another video. So today we're going to be taking an even closer look at the all new HTC Desire 610. Now from the time I've had to use this phone, it's really impressed me with all of its features and I can't wait to tell you guys all of them, so let's get straight into this. So if we take a look at the front of the device, you'll immediately notice the dual speakers, one at the top and one at the bottom. Now when I play music on this phone out loud, I have to admit it's really loud, and that is what you would expect from the two speakers. Now in the right hand corner, they've also included a 1.3 megapixel front facing camera which is able to shoot video at 720p. Now I'm always on Snapchat, which always requires the front facing camera, and I have to admit photos in low lighting can be really poor, and even photos in broad daylight just seems really grainy and not so clear, so that was a bit of a turn off for me. However, you'll also be using the 4.7 inch display, which is a resolution of 960 by 540, so it's not exactly 1080p, but you have to remember this is a mid-range smartphone. Now if you are coming from a flagship device, possibly from Samsung or Apple or LG, most of those displays are 1080p or even higher, so you will definitely notice the difference if you've been using those type of smartphones for a while. Now if we take a look at the left hand side of the device, you'll also find the memory card slot, which is able to support up to 128 gigabytes, similar to the HTC One M8, and beneath it you'll also find your SIM card slot for your cellular data. Now if we head over to the right hand side of the device, you'll also find the volume up and down rocker. Now the only problem I had with the volume rockers was the fact that it doesn't reassure you that you've actually pressed the button. I found myself a few times, especially when listening to music or watching videos, pressing the volume up and down button really hard just to make sure I've clicked it. It just doesn't give you that reassurance like the iPhone does, or even the Samsung Galaxy. It doesn't give you that reassurance on this phone, and I found that just a bit annoying. But you know, it's something I suppose you could get used to, and some people may not find that same problem as I did. Now if we head over to the back of the device, you'll find the 8 megapixel rear camera, which is able to shoot video at 1080p. Now if any of you would like to see a video test, just leave the comment in the comment section below and I'll get that up as soon as possible. But I have to admit, this camera takes some really great photos, as you guys can see now. I really had no problems with the rear camera. I was really relieved that the rear camera was so much better than the front facing camera. The only issue I had was the flash. I just found the flash a bit too strong, and the fact that they've left it at the top of the camera. There has been a few situations where if I'm taking a photo of an object, you could really notice the flash beaming down from the top, and that was a bit annoying, you know, so I just had to turn off the flash. But nevertheless, this is still a really good camera. And then last of all, if we head over to the top of the device, you'll find your power button and the 3.5mm headphone jack. Now moving on to the power and performance of this phone, this is definitely going to be my favourite part of the entire review, mainly due to the fact that it came as such a shock to me. Now this device has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 processor, clocked at 1.2 GHz and 1 GB of RAM. Now these specs aren't outdated, it's not the oldest specs, so it would still perform as you would expect. However, considering that this phone has 1 GB of RAM and a 1.2 GHz quad-core processor, it still performed like an absolute beast. I downloaded Need for Speed Most Wanted and I had a few races in that game, and the phone did not lag one bit. The frame rate was perfect, the graphics was perfect, the lighting was perfect, and this just really stood out for me. So if you're the type of person who's always gaming, this is the ideal phone if you're not looking to spend money on the latest flagship device. Now if you're the type of person who isn't always gaming but do still run multiple apps in the background, maybe Facebook and Twitter and Google, and maybe you're a stock trader and you just have loads of apps running in the background, you will not experience any sort of lag when accessing this phone. In the time I've had to use it, I've always had multiple apps running in the background, either Real Racing 3 or YouTube or Snapchat or some sort of application. This phone has lived up to the performance, and this came as such a shock to me considering it only has 1 GB of RAM. And the funny thing is, a lot of phones these days are kind of regarded as useless when people find out it has 1 GB of RAM or maybe a 1.2 GHz quad-core processor. But this phone has definitely proved that sometimes specs do not really mean that the phone is crap. This phone doesn't have the newest specs, it doesn't have a Snapdragon 800 processor, but it still performs like one. So, you know, I would give a thumbs up to HTC for that. Now, moving on to the battery life. When I first received this phone, the battery was almost dead. So I left it on charge for a few hours until it reached 100%. And then I took it out with me and I stayed out for a few more hours. Now, this phone managed to last at least 4 hours with intensive use. So this includes me playing games such as Real Racing 3 and Need for Speed. I was also connected to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and mobile data, and I was also using it on full brightness. And of course there was multiple apps running in the background, such as the internet and YouTube. So the phone is basically running at its full strength, and it managed to last me roughly 4 hours, which I think is ideal. Luckily for me, I've also got this external battery power pack which allows me to charge my phone portably practically anywhere, and I'm sure a lot of you guys also do. So that kind of got rid of the battery problem. So the HTC Desire 610 will be running Android's latest version of KitKat 4.4.2, and overall I would rate this phone a solid 7. I think it has the right performance and the right design, along with the right price, which is very important considering this is a mid-range smartphone. It costs £250 in the UK and I think $400 in the US. I will put the link for both UK and US in the description below. And also leave a comment down below telling me what you think on the HTC Desire 610. Maybe if you're planning on buying this phone in the future, I could answer some of your questions you have on this phone. And also thumbs up this video if you have enjoyed it. It really helps out a lot. And I will see all of you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Peace.